Okay, hi, my name is Jing. I'm the CEO of Bukit Vista. And in this short little video, what I'm hoping to do is demonstrate how we actually design an employee transformation framework to craft our employee experience. So during this video lesson, what I'm hoping to impart is some of the thought processes that went into designing the transformation framework. I'm also going to tie that to the services that activate and drive the cultural engine to move our employees to have a transformative employee experience. And hopefully by the end of this, what I'm hoping that you'll be able to take away is that you can analyze transformation services through the use of employee engagement surveys to determine whether or not we should stop, we should continue, or we should improve a particular employee transformation service. I'm hoping that you can actually build a culture here at the company by creating employee transformation services and seeing how the mechanism works at a strategic level. Okay, let's go ahead and begin. So I'll share my screen. And the first thing I'd like to do is to draw a diagram. Now, what you see on this side is essentially the framework that we're going to be building together. And I'll draw this out. So this framework, where is it inspired by? It's inspired by Chip Conley's Employee Truth Pyramid. Okay, so what exactly is this? Well, this is a framework by which we understand how an employee who works in our company can actually find purpose. So this indicates the different levels that an employee will engage and transform, hopefully, during their career at Bukit Vista. So at the first level is, of course, job, moving into career, and finally, at the highest level is a calling. So let's go ahead and take that structure and apply it here. Okay, so the first thing we need to do, of course, is to label our pyramid. So job goes at the bottom, calling is in the middle, and calling is at the top, and then career is in the middle. Okay, so that represents our employee transformation pyramid. But how do people arrive into the company? Well, they can arrive through a number of different services. Okay, so I'm going to indicate 3 arrows to indicate the 3 different ways that an employee can arrive into the company. Now, what do we mean by when we say a way that they actually arrive into the company? Which it means that we drive awareness. We drive job awareness by posting job ads in popular job platforms like LinkedIn, JobStreet, these things. And we ask people to come and work for us for money, for a transactional purpose. That's one way that we get employees into Bukit Vista. The other way is we raise awareness about the career opportunities. Now, this might be doing an internship here, after which you can get an amazing job, a leading company here in the world, or it builds up a career because you've always wanted to elevate, and we show the amazing career opportunities available at Bukit Vista as well. And then finally, we can introduce people and make them aware that Bukit Vista offers an opportunity to pursue a calling by designing really innovative hospitality solutions that can positively transform our guests and partners and our employees. So this is essentially these are the ways that we raise awareness and we introduce people into our employee transformation framework. And we'll just label these with different service labels, right? We'll call this any service that is related to raising awareness to attract calling stage candidates. We'll call that service 1. Any service that we use to raise awareness for career stage employees, we will call that service 2. Any service that we use to raise awareness for job stage employees, we will call that service 3. Okay, so now we've built the inputs that come into our pyramid, but that's not all that we want to do, of course. We want to transform our employees while they have actually been here. So what do? We represent those transformations using these arrows here. And what this means is that if an employee comes here for a job, we want to transform them into having a career. They have a career, we want to transform them into feeling calling. So those are important services that we take into account. So those are then represented here. We call them services 4 and services 5. And perhaps I also need a little sticker here. So I'm going to borrow this Post-it and we'll create a little sticker. We'll call these career to calling transformation. Okay, so that will be the way that we label this particular service. And just similarly, we'll call this service over here, we'll call this service 5, we'll call this job to career transformation, and that will give us a blueprint there. Okay, all right, so now we've built the few levels in our pyramid that indicate the awareness, but also the transformation. But what about the next thing? The next thing is we need to maintain. We need to find a way, represented by these circle arrows, to maintain people who are here for job stage. We need to also maintain people here who are here for career stage. And we also need to maintain people who are here at calling stage. And we need to think about unique programs that we can do in order to do that. So We'll once again label these with different numbers again. We will probably call these services that maintain jobs Service 6, maintain career Service 7, and maintain calling Service 8. So now we have a very strong framework and a very easy understanding of a few principles here, right? So we will start creating some labels here. Over here is the awareness type services. These are to raise awareness for employees to join Bukit Vista and become part of our growing company. And then these services over here are in the category of transformation services. So transformation services are to really transform people who are in the company to attain higher goals and stages of development based on a Maslow pyramid. And then the final stage over here, these we can call, not the final stage, but the final category, these are maintenance services. And these are there to maintain our employees within the framework of our company. Okay, now that the framework has been explained, let me go into how the workflow and the mechanism of how we build a culture. So how do we actually build a culture? Well, let's go through the employee workflow first, and we see how do employees actually arrive. So here's the basics. Most people, they become aware of Bukit Vista through one of our many channels. It might be they're on a mailing list, or they're part of our LinkedIn follower group, or they read articles about us, and that brings them on backlinks back to our sites, or university clubs, professor, university career portals, our e-talk, which is a webinar that we conduct to interest people who are interested in various subjects, and also, the Instagram for that e-talk. All that traffic is funneled onto the website where people can apply for a job. The applicants then we engage with, they then become selected. And once they become selected, we pass them through a self-learning system. From the results of that self-learning system, we are able to determine if they need a mentor, if they are a leadership candidate, a coach, if they're a project candidate, or a trainer, if they're an operational candidate. Now, once they have been onboarded in the company, then they will start experiencing the employee transformation services, which are all the various elements that make up a culture. What is culture, after all? It's 1,000 things 1,000 times. It's the power of habit. So we here at Bukit Vista record those habits, and we deliberately practice those habits by being aware that they are actually called employee transformation services. And a few moments later, I'll introduce what an employee transformation service actually looks like. Now, the sum of all the employee transformation services forms the employee experience. Okay, and what happens after that? Well, the employee experience it needs to innovate. We need to be able to track it, measure it, and determine, are all the services that we're providing to create the employee experience, are they relevant? Do they actually promote the culture and the mission and the vision of the company? So how do we do that? Well, we need feedback systems. There's two feedback systems. One is a passive system whereby we listen, we observe what our employees are doing. Many habits are subconscious. We just do them without even thinking about it. Perhaps speaking in English for our meetings, or using Slack to communicate. At some point, these feel so natural and they feel so obvious that we don't actually realize that they are essentially employee transformation services. So it's through passive observation and listening that we've become aware, oh my goodness, these are actually habits that we have, and these form the employee experience. So that is one channel. But of course, we also have another channel, and that is the active listening channel. And so what do we do in active listening? Well, we try to gather employee feedback through many forms. We use employee journals, which track the individual progress and also the bonuses that individual employees receive every month. We have the all hands commentary, which is a way to give comments and feedback to the people who are participating in our all hands when they update their personal updates for the week. We have one-on-ones, we have peer-to-peer chapter feedback, and we have the very popular employee engagement survey. So just earlier, I was coaching an intern about the employee engagement survey and how the employee engagement survey, it needs to be tied to the employee transformation services. And I'm going to go illustrate a particular point of how we might do that using the framework that we just discussed about. So, okay, we've concluded this part, which is to examine essentially the workflow of the employee journey as they move through our organization. Now, let's take a look at some actual employee transformation services. Okay, so within Coda, which is our guideline index, which is a compilation of all the documentation that is necessary in order to run Bukit Vista, we have these employee transformation services. These are things like, let's say, the employee trial program, or HR, role as a service, BVE talk. We have dozens of these particular services. And let's do a few. let's go ahead and screenshot maybe this one out. This is the all hands personal updates. And then maybe the campaign structure for Scrum. Maybe we also highlight a B talk over here. And oh, here's a good one. Here's time blocking, which is a tool that we use to do time management. We have a Hall of Fame on our website for employees that have done very well here. And we have celebrations, okay, here for our employees. And okay, that's pretty sufficient. Now, where do we map these particular employee transformation services and where do they belong? Well, let's go ahead and start adding them here. So what we can do is we can start adding the transformation services to our framework by including them one by one into the framework. Okay, so our first transformation service is the celebrations illustrated over here. So we're talking about Vistaversaries, farewell party, birthday, happy hours. Well, what stage do they actually belong to? Well, these services actually belong in career stage. They are for people who are developing a career and they help promote loyalty. So they actually belong right here on maintain career employees. So this is a service that is part of service 7 right here. So let's just stack it right there. Service 7 as part of maintaining career employees. And what is that service? It's celebrations, birthday parties, happy hours, farewells. Okay, so that goes there. All right, let's keep on going. Let's dig out another service and see where that belongs. So we'll go and bring this service here. We have a Hall of Fame. A Hall of Fame on our website that exemplifies our most achieved employees. Where do we put that? Well, that is actually in the calling stage. And it's a way of maintaining or also by upgrading, transforming our employees. So what does it do? Well, by being put in a Hall of Fame, it's a type of reward. So it maintains somebody in a calling stage, but it also might, at the same point, inspire somebody to actually transform from career to calling. So it has two places where it can be. It can be part of service 8 or service 4 over here as a transformation service. So that's where that goes. Okay, let's do one more example, but then I think everyone gets the point. So let's head out one more example and we'll take a look at where this belongs. Time blocking. So time blocking was something that we created the early stages so that our employees would find work-life balance because they would be able to adequately manage their times. That is simply a service over here, number 5, so that people can do their work better. So that's where it belongs. Okay, so we've been able to now map out and analyze each particular employee transformation service as is indexed over on this page. And we're able to fit it into the framework of how we want to transform our employees. Okay, why is that important? When we create an employee engagement survey now, which is our way of analyzing the overall health of the company in a particular month, when we are looking to actually test and see if our cultural engine is well tuned, we create an employee engagement survey. How? Well, we create it by using questionnaires, and I'll show a little bit more on that process. So we create this questionnaire, but we need to be strategic. Well, what is the strategic way to do this? Well, first is the framework. The framework always begins with an engagement section that asks which particular group or team they belong to and their name, which is optional, of course, if they want to give it or not. But then the framework of this survey involves 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It involves 6 employee transformation services, such as going from the 6th one, the Vista Project Awards, and to the 5th one, leadership development, and so on and so forth. Okay, so that is the framework. We're going to test these particular 6 services because what we've noticed is that those services are related to job, they're related to calling awareness, and they're also related to maintaining calling employees. Okay, so those are the 6 services that we've identified are the most crucial based on our examination of the employee transformation framework. So how do we actually examine whether the service is working correctly? We ask questions, of course. We ask detailed questions whether or not it's fulfilling its particular purpose. I'll give you an example here. So time blocking. Time blocking is a time management service, and it is essentially taught to our employees during onboarding, and it would belong right here on service 5 right here, right? It's a way of essentially transforming people from people who have not worked here to be able to function in their jobs. So that's service 5. So what do we want to examine in time blocking? We want to examine whether or not time blocking helps me focus and accomplish my personal goals every day, because that's necessary in order to do a job well. It helps focus my alignment to the company's vision and mission. That's important if we want to do a job well. And it promotes better decision making amongst the team by knowing who and when somebody can be delegated to do a certain task, which is also a form of job alignment and job transformation. So that is a simple unit case of how we create an employee engagement survey to then examine an employee transformation service, such as time blocking. Okay, that pretty much concludes the discussion. And hopefully I've achieved my goals. One, you can see the framework for how we actually approach employee transformation in a clear and lucid way that is detailed and comprehensive. Two, that we understand that the transformation services comprise, when working together, the cultural experience of working at Bukit Vista through the cultural engine. And then the third thing is that we use the employee engagement survey as one of the feedback tools to understand whether or not our employee transformation services should be continued, stopped, or improved. And this gives us the correct feedback in order to fine tune the engine of transformation, which is really important as a company. So anyhow, that I want to leave you with the final thought here that this framework is essentially a roadmap to understanding if we are actually making progress on our mission. So when we say we want to inspire delight through innovative hospitality services that positively transform our employees, this is a tool where we can actually measure if we're doing that. So hopefully this has been an enlightening discussion, and I hope this inspires delight, and I hope you can take this to go out and positively transform the lives of our guests, partners, and employees. So long. Bye-bye from here in California. Jing signing off.